Right, Donnacha. So, just going to go over a couple of things we covered in the lesson there. So I'm just going to touch on tuning first, and as I said, it's important to get yourself a tuner. The phone app, I think you were saying you tried it actually, and yeah, for bass in particular, they don't really work very well. But these things here are 10 a penny. You can pick one up for about €15 or so. So I'm just going to show you. I've put it out of tune here, and I'll just go through tuning it up. So let's get on with it. So first of all, you got to know the string names. So the names of the strings are the notes that you normally get when you hit it open without holding it down. Okay, so first of all, we're looking for, so it's E, A, D, G. E, A, D, G. All right. So first of all, we're going for E, and you can see there D sharp. Right, so that's not as low. So as I was saying, sharp just means one up, right? So there's D, right? Well, D string anyway, it's out of tune. But so this one up from that'd be D sharp, and then up another one again would be E, right? So we just need to take this up. So it's saying it's in tune there, but it's exactly D sharp, so that's the wrong note. So we want to bring it up to E. So now it's on the lower end of E. Keep going up, and there we are. So next one should be A, G sharp. Right, so you know the way it only goes up as far as G or G sharp, and then once you go past G sharp, you cycle back around to A again, to the start. So if I take this up by one, up past G, there's the A. There it is. And just make sure that you can leave it ringing out and it stays there, right? So a lot of the time it'll flash up and say that it's in tune for a second or so, but make sure it can actually hold that. Okay, next one, D sharp. What we want is D, so D sharp is one up from D, so taking it down. And just a couple of things. Number one, don't turn the pegs unless the string is actually ringing out, because that way then neither you nor the tuner knows where it's going. So only turn them while the string is making a note. Another thing as well is make sure you mute the previous string before you go on to the next one. Make sure you're not giving it mixed signals. And just hit it about 3 seconds or so and then hit it again. Try not to kind of do it like that, because then the tuner can't get a consistent signal. Okay, so there's F sharp. We need to bring that up past that to G. And then, because the tension is shared across this plank of timber, when you bring one string up, when you tighten one string, all the rest of them go down by a little bit, right? So once you've gone through them once, no harm in just going through it again, just to make sure they haven't moved since you tuned them. Okay, more or less. Yep, and yeah. Okay, so we're in tune. So now, when it comes to knowing what notes you're playing, just remember, because when you're playing bass, a lot of the time you're going to be playing bass along with chords, right? And so, you want to be able to play along with chord of E, chord of C sharp minor, whatever the case may be. We'll use Where's My Mind as an example. So all you need to know is that the notes go from A to G. They all have sharps one above, one fret, or one semitone is the general unit of pitch. So, to go up by one semitone on the bass is to go up by one fret. And by the way, a tone is 2 frets, okay? So there's a tone, a semitone. Okay, so in other words, let's say you want to find a certain note on your E string, right? We'll find G sharp, okay? So that's E. Then there's no E sharp, so they all have sharps except for B and D, okay? So E goes straight to F, F sharp, G, G sharp, and then we cycle back around again to A. A, so then we can start off on the A string, A sharp, B, no B sharp, so C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, and so on. So for the first little while, you can just count up, and after a while, then you won't have to, because you'll just know. Okay, so other than that then, we're going to start off using the pick, but we will talk about using your just your fingers as well. There are reasons to do both. It's not a case of one is better than the other. They both have a function. So let's get on to Where's My Mind. So the chords in Where's My Mind, I gave those to you in the notes. Those are E major, C sharp minor, G sharp major, A major, okay? So And the way, and in terms of the rhythm, it's really, really simple. It's literally just 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And just when it comes to your arm position here, just make sure it's stable. Generally, you don't want to be floating out here because you could be here, whatever. It's not consistent. So if you just get in on it in a secure, kind of stable, repeatable position, then away you go. Okay, so we've got E first. That's the first chord in it, right? So we can just pair that up with a bottom E note on the bass. C sharp is next, right? So we'll start off on the A string. A sharp, B, no B sharp, so C, C sharp. Then G sharp is the next one, so we're going to go start off on the E string. E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp. And then A is just one above A sharp, so we'll just take it up a fret. Okay, so where's my mind then? It's open E string, 4th fret on the A string, 4th fret on the E string, and then 5th fret on the E string, okay? And just make sure you don't get into the habit of like that, right? Use your fingers and instead of your whole arm to move around with it. Okay, so that's the majority of the song, right? The verse goes like that, and the chorus where he's saying, "Where's my mind?" All of those sections are just those 4 chords over and over and over again, right? The only bit where it changes is on the line "way out in the water, see her swimming," right? So that skips the C sharp, way out, straight to the G sharp, A in the water, and then the next chord after that is A minor, right? So, but both of those chords have the same root note, the first note, the bottom note. We'll get into more of that later. So you just stay on the A. So way out in the water, see her swimming, C sharp, 2. So you hit that once, leave it for rest for 4 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then B, so that's A sharp, B, 2nd fret on the A string. And then you're back into the main bit. And by the way, the solo, the guitar solo for that bit, that's all B, right? So you've got way out in the water, see her swimming. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the guitar kicks off. Whatever it goes, it's just B all the way, and then finally, when you come back out into the main bit, the original chord progression again. Okay, so that's the main bit I want you focusing on. I just want you playing along with that song over and over and over again, right? Bass playing is repetitive, right? But that calls for consistency, okay? So you want to be getting those lines, one of these rounds of same every time, right? Which is not easy. A couple of other things we did then, just before we wrap up, was just to get you kind of getting physical with it in other ways, right? So the obvious thing to do on that front with the bass then is that slap, right? So you're essentially so remember now, it's not this, it's this, right? Your wrist turning, right? So you see the way your first finger kind of acts like an axis of rotation there, so it barely moves at all, it just rotates. And by the way, here I'm just putting my finger down on it to kind of shorten the note. So there's 2 basic moves involved with that, the slap and then the pop. Just get your first finger or maybe your middle finger under the string, pull on it hard enough so it snaps back and hits the fret. That's what gives you that steely sound. And from there you can go for a hammer on. Okay, just smack it down as hard as you can. And another thing you can do as well is a pull off. Okay, so pick it, and then all you got to do for the next note is drag it off. Another thing you do as well is slides. Okay, so just so keep that stuff in mind. Practice away with "Where's My Mind," and then other than that, start moving these around. We'll talk about more what these do, but just turn it one way, turn it the other, see what it does, see what happens, and just mess with it. It's that's one of the cool things about the bass, is that it's so kind of big and robust. You can really get physical with it, really knock it around and just see what happens. All right, let me know how you get on with that, and I'll see you next time.